All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'll recognize all board members are present with the exception of Tricia Bodie and Larry Williams, who are excused. Expect we still might see Larry at some point this morning. But we will start with the minutes from our July 29th meeting, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on, we will go to Joe Barry for a report from the Secretary.
Yes, good morning, Mayor. Actually, there's no news to report, so no news is good news.
I agree, Joe. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I expect Chris will have a little bit more to say, so let's go to our report from the program manager. If he doesn't, we're all in trouble.
I can try that. I don't know that you...
I think we're going to let you get away with it. Good morning, Chris.
No, don't know that would you'd buy into that one. So good morning, everyone. I don't have much in the upper right there in the project status summary in terms of procurement. We're kind of at a lull at the moment, and then project closeout. Just we continue to work through that, trying to get projects dialed out. So we'll jump into construction updates because there's a fair amount to talk about there. Underneath Fowler, the interior, we're moving along over there. Not a tremendous amount to report there. As you know, that project was scheduled to move into the fall. It was a phased project, and the plan was to move into that. The piece I would pick up on is the concession storage building. I know I've had a lot of inquiries about where's the roof. We've asked that question multiple times. We did have a bit of an issue there with a subcontractor that ultimately elected not to continue with the project, which caused a bit of a challenge in getting material ordered properly and on time, combined with the fact that we've experienced the metal roofing has been one of many materials that have been delayed with some of the production issues that we've been experiencing across the board in the industry. So the good news is that we should have the roofing materials anticipated this week or the beginning of next week, and then obviously they're going to jump right to it and put it on. So beyond that, the finishes have been able to continue largely on the interior of that, so it's in good shape. Need to resolve a fire alarm issue over there for the interconnect of the fire alarm so that we could move towards getting a certificate of occupancy, but that's where that one stands at the moment.
Is the concession stand going to be ready for the first game?
The concession stand in terms of the interiors is in good shape. I mean, what the piece we're pushing on obviously is the roof and the fire alarm. There was an issue with fire alarm panel, again, another supply issue of getting a panel that's there. So they're exploring opportunities to do an interconnect to the existing building system. So in lieu of having its own standalone, we could take the device, the detection components, and tie them into the building. So that's what we're working on. So if provided we can get a solution to that, but that's what's on the docket at the moment. So I know I didn't answer your question, will it be there? We're anticipating it will be, but those are the issues that we're dealing with at the moment.
Stainless steel countertops and the three-base sink we had issue with.
Yeah, the sinks, the stainless steel sinks, and we're trying to entertain a opportunity to put something in on a temporary basis that will satisfy Department of Health needs for a sink. So that's another supply component, and we've been experiencing, you name it, there's all kinds of supply chain disruptions in terms of materials. A large part of it's been trucking, which you wouldn't think that traditionally has been a problem, but it has been a problem to get things, even though it may be sitting in a factory, getting it onto a truck and getting it to the site has been a challenge as well, all due to a lot of the labor shortages that we've all heard about. So at Corcoran, to talk through Corcoran a little bit there, we're moving right along with things at Corcoran. There's a couple areas there that won't be complete prior to the school, which is in our constraint critical issue box there. Just to speak to that is the lockers for the gym locker rooms. The locker production was another issue that we've experienced. That we were fortunate on some jobs that the lockers showed up, and other jobs they haven't. So that's one that we're working on. And then in the pool area, we won't have the pool turned over. We got a light issue with the lights for in the pool area that we don't have those yet. So, but we have our arms around it, just not going to have it for the opening.
Parking lot?
Parking lot's in good shape. I would like it if we could get, you know,
Saturday, I didn't see it in good shape.
you-
I was there Saturday, I didn't see it in good shape.
Okay. Well, I know that we certainly we've had a little bit of a challenge with respect to trying to string together 2 or 3 days here where we haven't had rain. But we've made good progress over there, and I have confidence that once we can get that opportunity, that they will get there with it. The tennis courts, on the other hand, are another one that's a bit moisture sensitive to having that area is dried out so that Nagel can come in and put the coating on the tennis courts. So, but Nate's here as well. You want to speak to the ability to get the parking lot done? We're comfortable with that.
The paving is scheduled to start next week. Again, weather dependent. We're trying to finish up concrete walks this week, getting rained out. But I share Chris's confidence that the paving will be there before it starts. And as far as the tennis courts go, they do have tennis courts that are usable. We're talking about the 4 upper tennis courts. So there are tennis courts over there that are available to us.
They're gonna use the PSLA tennis courts until these are 100% done.
I'm not concerned about the tennis court. I'm concerned about parking lot. I'm concerned about the buildings. That's what I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
On Henniger, we're advancing things over there. As you know, this was one that was scheduled to continue into the school year. This is our longest running building that will run out actually into next summer. Nonetheless, last month we were here, I think we reported out, we had a couple of pinch points over there. The toilet rooms, the multi-use, not the multi-use, the gang toilet rooms were of concern. We've been able to really get our arms around that. Those are advancing well, and I feel good about those being completed. We major push there. We worked Saturdays and Sundays here for the past couple weekends, and the tile is going into those bathrooms. And I think I'm gonna look to Nate again to confirm, but as my understanding is we'll be there with the toilet rooms. We won't be there with the new canopy entrance in the front. The site work has advanced well. The loop there, the drop-off loop, if you will, the granite curb is in, the topsoil is in, the paving is not in. We had some issues with the canopy entrance, and that got combined with, we had a couple of design things that we had to resolve there, but nonetheless, the doors will be usable, and that's part of the exiting strategy. We're not going to use it as a primary entrance. It's meant to be for emergency egress that will come out those doors. And we'll have some temporary partitions inside of the building in a couple of locations to kind of cordon off the construction areas from the occupied areas so that we can allow work to continue in there. And then as we move into the school year, that work down in the main office, the new library and the new lower level cafeteria, that will continue as we go forward. So, all right, we covered the canopy and covered the toilet rooms. Any other questions on Henniger?
Not a question particularly on Henniger, but on all the schools. How long into the school year do you think you'll still be there?
It depends. It depends on the building. Like Henniger will continue all the way through next fall. We have another summer to go at Henniger. The other buildings largely are anticipated to be completed here sometime in the first quarter of 22. Because by the time we finish, we're substantially complete, then obviously the closeout and the completion of all the punch list
But
items.
basically, the ones that I'm talking about are the ones that you have constraints on, that you're still working on.
Right.
So when do we expect an estimate? I know you can't tell us about the supply and materials, I get that.
Right. Right.
But, and I heard you say earlier that one of the subcontractors pulled out of one of the projects. So
Yeah.
is there a shortage? There's a shortage of material and labor as well, correct?
Well, the challenge on labor has been kind of almost a bit trade specific. Generally, yes, we've had labor issues, but with certain trades, it's been more difficult than others. In terms of that, material wise, on projects where we've been able to get the material and it's there, then we've felt some of the labor pinches. On some of the other projects, we've had some supply chain issues where stuff hasn't shown up when it's supposed to. And we're seeing stuff arriving 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after the fact of when they're supposed to be there.
Did we lock the prices in on that material?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the pricing is, the pricing is set the day that we receive the bid and sign the contract. And they do, our contract doesn't afford the opportunity for escalation or for, you know, if material prices go up, we are locked in on that. So no, we haven't felt it from that aspect, which is good. Nottingham, we're doing very well over there. Happy to report that they'll be into the new main office area come this fall. We did award additional work over there to do the locker replacements in the corridors. That was one that we were concerned about, unfortunately. I mean, concerned about from the respect that that was a package that we put out as extra work, and we were worried about getting lockers. The good news is we've received about 75% of the lockers for the corridors. We got about 25% that are still not there, but that's been good because we've been able to get those installed, and we'll put the balance of them in as soon as we can get them. But that building is in, you know, we're pleased with how that's come together over there. It's come together well. The windows is something that we're still watching. That was part of that additional package. We did the corridor lockers and then the new windows, the glass block replacements with the new windows. Windows is something we're still trying to make sure that we're going to get windows when we need them. It's always a pinch point from a production standpoint, but we got those ordered, and we'll see where that goes. So we're hoping that we can receive those when we're supposed to and advance that work. Clary, again, things have come together quite well at Clary. We're pleased with where we are with that. We're actually getting the substantial completion paperwork put together so that we can get our certificate of occupancy for Clary, and happy that we were able to if you recall, we did a bunch of extra casework replacements in that building. We were able to get that done, get it manufactured, and get it installed. So happy that one has come together quite well. Work over there has now, the forces that were there have now advanced over into Elms. We're into Elms and starting to do the demolition work and the structural repair work that was called for over there. So that's advancing. That's another one that will be advancing. You know, that work will be continuing at Elms. So between Elms and Henniger, those were both scheduled to continue. So Danforth, probably the one that is drawing the most attention at the moment. The building, I would tell you that 2/3 of the building is in good shape over there in terms of being able to, the contents have been moved back into the building. The district has put contents in the building. Our largest challenge at the moment is flooring. At the moment, that's the focus. The good news is the material is there physically in the building. The part that's been a challenge is the labor force to get the flooring installed. So we're actively working on that, but it is a concern, and if we're unable to amplify the workforce to do the flooring, there may be areas of the building over there that would be, when we turn over and we occupy, that'll have concrete floors. So obviously optically and aesthetically, and it's a disappointment that we might not have those. But from a safety and a life safety perspective, the building can be occupied without, you know, the rubber treads on the stairs, without the VCT in the corridors. But our focus right now is cafeteria first, classroom second, then corridors, and then the stairs. So that's our focus, and we're actively seeking, you know, reaching out across beyond Syracuse to try and find some labor force that we could bring in to help get the floors put in. So that's our.
Go back for me a minute. You said you were more concerned about the floors than the treads on the stairs or something?
Well, we've prioritized the work in terms of the areas that are incomplete. Was the cafeteria floor is first, because obviously we need that. It's an essential component of the operation. So then classroom second, meaning in terms of we move to the classrooms, then to corridors, and then to the stairs. So we've just kind of prioritized the work in terms of the sequence in which we want to advance it.
But the stairs won't be far behind, correct? Because that is a safety concern.
The stairs are not, from a use perspective, they're fine. The railings are in place, the stairs are there, they're level, they're solid. It's the rubber treads that we put on the top of the stairs. So it's really it's an aesthetic, obviously, that we don't have those. It looks unfinished, but it doesn't prevent the use of them.
Okay, I don't agree.
Obviously, we would like to get them done, because you walk into a new building with a new main office and new corridor floors, a new log,
It's
painted.
not even about that for me, because I go down the stairs back here, and there's been times I've stumbled, and that tread catches me, so for me, it is a safety issue.
Right.
So that's my concern.
Understood. So that is absolutely a challenge at the moment. The second piece that we're getting there, and we knew this, we identified this early on, was we elected to remove the old boilers that are there in the basement at Danforth. That's been quite an operation. We knew it was going to be. We're continuing to move along over there. The anticipation is that we complete the abatement portion of the work and then move into what would we call like a general demo of the existing materials that are still there in terms of cutting up the steel and the structure that was there. So the part that we're keeping very focused on is that the activation of the boilers that heat the building are there physically, they're existing, but there's work that has to be done following the removal of those old boilers to allow those to operate. So that's another focus point for us at the moment, is to make sure that we have the ability, and we knew that that work would extend into September, probably towards the end of September, and the ability to get heat back on in the building is just something that we're very focused on to make sure that we can do that. So, but they've been working on that, for several weeks now. It's quite an undertaking to remove those. They're quite large. So, questions on Danforth? The anticipation currently is that staff will be into the building on the 30th, right, correct, Jaime? And to start to set up rooms, their contents are physically in the room, and I would tell you that probably 2/3 of that building is there. It's been, the classrooms have been cleaned, the second and the third floor, and a good portion of the first floor of the main part of the building is ready. We do need to do cleaning in the corridors, and we do need, obviously, the flooring components of several of the rooms and some of the common spaces. So that's the focus at the moment, but we're going to move forward and get folks in and get them set up. Life safety wise, we're in good shape in that building. In terms of the phone, the PA, the fire alarm, all the items, and we had a preliminary walk with the fire department yesterday to walk through the building as a kind of a pre-check of where we are. So, okay, I think we covered a lot there, but happy to answer any questions.
Well, Chris, in terms of the labor shortages, have the trade unions been able to help in any way?
Yeah, we've been in touch with them all along, and we have we let them know where the needs are, and they've been responsive to that where they can. They have a lot of, there's travelers that are in some cases they've got some folks that are in that are, retirees that they pulled back in. So they've been working with us, obviously conscious of the challenges that they have as well with that. I know we talked before that there's several significant projects that are still ongoing and that are in a bit of a push at the moment. That's just, there's a challenge across the region right now with folks. But to answer your question, yes, they've been responsive to us and helped us where they can and kind of pointed us in directions.
I do believe they have that obligation under the PLA.
They do, and they recognize that, and they're also conscious of the fact that if they can't provide, the terms of the PLA allow us to find some help elsewhere when need be. So,
Thank you.
Yep. Any other?
For Chris? Good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Okay, let's go next to our financial summary report.
Good morning. We have a full report this month because we're at the end of the second quarter. The report is for the end of June. So, as we had talked about before, that we would provide the full report at the end of the quarter. So we're going to start down on page 5, under the statement of net position. And some of the highlights for the month were, we did receive a National Grid Energy Incentive Rebates for Bellevue, Grant, and Huntington. That was it's about $124,000 that we received. There will be some more coming in for other buildings as well. We also did receive a small amount of interest this month, and the vendor payments we had this month were both for May and June, but paid in June. So on page 5, under the statement of net position, at the end of June, the total JSCB fund had a total of $60.6 million of both Phase 1 and Phase 2 cash, and included in that is $7 million set aside for debt service payments. So compared to the May statement, cash decreased by $16 million due to vendor payments totaling $16 million, and we had $51 in investment income and $123,000 in the incentive rebates. Also included in that total asset figure is $301 million of capital assets, and that represents the total project activity up to June of last year. We will be looking to close out this year, and the audit is going to start in October. So all the final numbers will be presented to the board sometime in November. So we're prepping for the audit right now. So back to the sheet. The total liabilities at the close of June is $344 million, and that includes the bonds and premium payable for both Phase 1 and Phase 2 projects. So at the end of June, the unaudited total net position is $17.8 million. So we're going to go on to page 6. And that is our statement of sources and expenditures. So included for Phase 1, included is $8.7 million of pass-through funding that came from the district, and that was reported in a prior month. Also, the federal subsidy, $723,000, was reported in a prior month, and the excess funds from the bond refunding was reported also in the prior month. Our total expenditures is the total principal and interest payments for November and May payments, and those total $8.7 million. And then we had operating transfers out to the district of the federal subsidy, which is $723,000. So there was no new activity for Phase 1 in the month of June. Phase 2, we did report in prior months the $20.9 million in the pass-through, and that was used to make the debt service payments, and $2.1 million was set aside for capitalized interest. We did receive, this is new business, the National Grid incentive rebates did come in June of $123,000, and we did earn $51 for the month of June for investment income. So that increased us to $26,629. Our total capital outlay at this point, up to the end of June, is $84 million for the year. And our total principal and interest payments were $23 million, and that was reported in May. So that concludes that report. And now we're down on page 7. And page 7 is our cash flow statement. And that just shows our total year-to-date expenditures from last July to June. And our total capital outlay was $84 million. We're going to end, so we are ending the year with $60.6 million. And everything that I just talked about, you can see there in the month of June is the 51 interest income and the income from the incentive rebates, as well as the capital outlay, which was $16 million for the month. And that includes, that $16 million includes the May, that was what was approved at the May meeting and the June meeting combined. We've kind of an overlap sometimes when the payments get made. And then the last page, page 8, is our revenue and expense inception to date report. And this shows all the expenses paid up until June 30th. And our total Phase 1 projects, that shows a total sources of $141.6 million, and the total expenditures was $141.6. Phase 2, we have a total of $292.2 million in total sources, And our total expenditures at this point is $238.5 million. So we're getting up there. We're getting close. So that's the end of my report. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we have one more report before we come up with our resolution. That's from our independent compliance officer. I see Lloyd stepping up to the mic here. Good morning. Yeah.
Been about a year, so good to see everyone.
You too.
So I'll start off the first slide with our traditional, these are all of the projects that we are monitoring currently and the ones that are closed. When we go to the next slide, I put this up here for the people that are watching on YouTube or the people that just want pretty much the meat and potatoes and where we stand. Right now, currently, we have 269,000 minority hours, female hours, 136,958, residents, 273,726, and former City of Syracuse students, 111,402. That's based on the things that you'll see in the slides that follow. So this is how we are exceeding the goals. We're at minority 20.39%, women 10.38%, which is a challenge. We're going to start an EEO campaign because we don't really like to be at the bare minimum at 10%. So we're working to see where we can pull that from. There's still a lot of contractors that we're letting them know that they can adjust their people if they're minority or women, so we can adjust this goal. Residency is also exceeding the goal at 20.74 and students 8.44. So collectively, from the minority and women-owned businesses, those goals are exceeded as well at 18% on the MBE and 16% on the WBE. So collectively, this is another thing we wanted to add. Right now, there's $63,977,000 just with the City of Syracuse firms, not including anything else. These are all their numbers.
Great.
So we're hoping to see this grow as we continue. So how we got there, we added it at the bottom just to save time. For Tranche 1 and Tranche 2, $8.7 million was approved for utilization. Of that, $6.5 million has been paid out, so about 74% of the approved amount so far has been paid out for professional services on the MBE side. WBE side, same combination, Tranche 1 and Tranche 2, about $4.3 million was subcontracted out, $3.5 million has been paid, so about 80% has been paid out to all of the firms that were approved on all of the plans. Now we move on to construction, Tranche 1, $10,882,000 was subcontracted out to MBE firms. Of that, $10,550,000 has been paid out, so about 96%. That's in line with retainage, about 5%. WBE, same situation. Tranche 1, construction, $18,465,000 was subcontracted out to the WBE firms. Of that, $17,436,000 has been paid out. So again, 94.43%, again, within the 5% retaining. Now we go to construction Tranche 2, collectively $26,678,000 was subcontracted out to construction firms. Of that, $22 million has been paid, so about 83.62%. On the WB side, same combination at the bottom, $38,754,000 was approved. Of that, $31,627,000 was paid out, so about 81% has been paid out to the approved firms. So we go to the hours, professional services for Tranche 1 through June 2021. Just for the sake of time, we have a combination slide that includes both of them. So for Tranche 1, professional services, and Tranche 2, we have a collective 336,000 total hours. 67,000 of that was minority, 86,000 was women, 77,000 residents, and 46,000 were students. So we go to the construction for Tranche 1, 530,000 hours were the total. Of that, 91,000 were minority, 26,583 were women residents, 91,790, and City of Syracuse former students was 42,000. The total of everyone, this is how we got our totals for the first page. 1.3 million were the total hours of that. That's where we got our 269,000 total hours for professional services and construction for minority. Women, 136,000 hours, residents, 273,000, and students, 111,000, which gives us our percentages that we noted, 20.39%, 10.38, 20.74 for the residents, and students, 8.44. Did anyone have any questions? We had one highlight that we wanted to share with the board before I go to the next slide. This one is our JSCB MWB project spotlight. Ms. Karen Jones was a longtime electrician through IBEW, 43 of a Syracuse resident and a past student. She didn't let the pandemic hold her back. As a union member, Karen worked at both Bellevue and Grant schools. After 2 failed attempts at starting a business, 2014 and 2018, Eco Electrical Solutions was established in 2020 during a COVID-19 pandemic. Eco Electrical is a MWBE City of Syracuse certified contractor that provides electrical services to industrial and commercial projects. During her 36-year career, Mrs. Jones has become one of 2 black female electricians and is the only MWBE contractor and owner who holds a master electrician's license.
Awesome.
Amid the current manpower shortage that companies are facing, Karen remains optimistic about the future of her business. Currently, Eco Electrical Solutions holds contracts with Fowler Interior and Nottingham Schools. You can hear a full interview by Bolding Media on our YouTube channel. There's the link, and congratulations to Karen. Started as a worker, created her own business, now holds 2 contracts on the project.
Really great.
Yes.
Any questions? Nope. Thank you.
Nicely. Good work. All right. We're up to our resolutions. Looks like we have 2, so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Joe.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have resolution number 25, 21, which would make our monthly payments to the various contractors.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And we have resolution number 26, which would amend resolution number 62 of 2020 to authorize an additional 12-month extension for Landon and Ryan at the reduced rate of $27,500 to reflect the fact that the projects are winding down and there's somewhat less work to be done, but we need their services for project closeout.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
That completes our resolutions for today.
Okay, any other business to come before the board?
I'd just like to just make a last comment on, again, particularly during this pandemic, it's been tough the past 18 months, and I just want to say, kudos. I understand. I live right down the street from Danforth, and I see the work that goes on. My hat goes off to you, Superintendent, for trying to get all that done. I don't think that people sometimes realize the day-to-day work with city government and all the things that it takes to get things done. And a special shout out to, because I think sometimes we lose, the devil's in the details. And I think that, we need to certainly applaud all of those gains that we've made, particularly in this city, when we take a look at the outcome. So I think it's a collective effort. Sometimes we need to take a look at our strengths and our successes and not just those failures. So I just want to say kudos to everybody for making it happen, and I'll shut up.
Amen. Thank you, Larry. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.